welcome to the Mildly Uncomfortable podcast. This is a podcast in which two friends sit down to talk about different controversial subjects each episode. This episode is, of course, the first, so we're just going to be talking about ourselves and why we want to do a podcast and, whatever. I'm your host, Brandon Zoyce, and alongside me is my co host, Justin Coleman.
What's up, guys?
So, this is a podcast, as I said, where we talk about different controversial subjects. For example, different episodes, we want to do things like sexuality, religion, things that people don't necessarily want to talk about, but are very important to talk about for just, friendships, relationships, or just a regular conversation with people you have in life. So, like I said, again, for the first episode, we just want to talk about ourselves and why we want to do this. So I've wanted to do a podcast for quite a bit, talking about controversial shit. I've wanted to do it for, I would say, like 2 years at this point, and now we can actually do it because I got all the stuff. We're able to sit down and record and have a good time, because me and Justin are very good friends, so being able to actually just talk about something that we both feel strongly about is it's a great thing to do, and being able to record it and actually get it out there and maybe relate to some people is even better. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You can start. You want to just go into yourself?
Okay. Oh, also, I want to mention that we tried to record this one time before, and it was really fucked up. I'm not gonna get into all that, but it was really fucked up. We also had Ramiro with us. Ramiro Velez, a very close friend of ours, who he was going to be a host, but Ramiro has a lot of shit going on. He's very busy from working and whatever. So he's got a lot of shit going on. So Ramiro won't be a host, but he will be on. He'll be a guest on some of them, so that'll be cool. I just wanted to clear that up because now we're trying to record the first one again, so it'll be, hopefully this one will go up and it'll be good.
Yeah.
Very excited about it, and just in general, I'm so excited about recording this.
Yeah, the first one we did record did have Ramiro on it, just so you guys know, but the audio was...
It was dog shit.
Yeah,
it was bad. But yeah, so... like I said, I've wanted to do this for a while, and then having Justin on was my idea, obviously. All of the equipment is mine, and not in a possessive type way, just in a way of, I want people to be around it who I trust. I don't want to have somebody who's just going to be reckless with it and not care, and then also not care about the podcast itself, like other guests who might be on it, and other friends that we have that we think would be good for a subject. I don't want somebody who just doesn't care about any of this shit, because I want it to be good. I want it to actually sound good and be good for everybody who cares about listening. So I was able to luckily do this with Justin, and I trust him a lot, and then we have very good conversations outside of a recording. So I think bringing it to recording is very good. So I'll introduce myself and everything. I am Brandon Zoyce. I love social media and, going through with the whole social media aspect with, recording and editing and stuff like that. I love film, so I want to go into film, I want to be something with film, directing, editing, actually shooting, whatever. The whole podcast by itself, I love the idea of it, and I love being able to go through and actually do this. What about you, Justin?
In terms of the podcast, I never really envisioned myself on one until you approached me with the idea, obviously. I'd always listened to them, for many years. At the beginning of high school, I've been listening to podcasts. It's probably one of my favorite mediums I would get information through now. But just because in real life I'm more of an introvert and I'm pretty quiet, I always felt like I probably wouldn't be able to do one of these things. But I'm like a one-on-one person with people. Like I talk when there's less people, when there's a bigger crowd. So like a podcast is kind of a perfect situation for me. In terms of who I am, like, and what I want to do, I'm trying to go into art. I've always loved art, political art to be specific. Just starting conversations with my pieces is, I guess, the best thing that can happen out of it, or the best thing that can come from making something. I want to focus in graphic design just so I can start a career on that. Because starting with painting, it's kind of a rough road going down that road, you know. But
Why?
well, just because you don't make a lot of money because
Oh, really?
you're essentially an entrepreneur. Like you're funding yourself, you're buying all your supplies, and you're hoping someone's going to buy your art. And in the beginning, you won't be able to sell your art as much if you're not well known. Obviously, the more well known you get, the more you can sell your stuff for.
Yeah.
And many people do not get well known. Like it
Yeah,
just
because
doesn't
that's
happen.
a very like large field for people. You know, there's a fuck ton of people in paint and just in art, obviously in general. But
Yeah, there's a lot of people, but there's only a few names that have gotten big over the years. Like really big one is Kende Wiley. Like he's one of my favorite, but that's just like a one in a million type of situation where it was a really good artist with really good concepts who got recognized. That doesn't always happen. He just got to be one of the lucky ones, I guess you could say. Ideally, I'd like to go back to college soon, hopefully, like either fall or spring. I know for a fact I'll be back in spring, but I was aiming for this fall, but we'll see.
well, talk about where you went then, and how long ago, and how long you were actually there, and whatever.
I went to college right out of high school, so the 2017 fall, yeah, it was fall 2017. I applied for a few colleges, and for a while I thought I had my mind made up on SAIC, which is a college in downtown Chicago. Really, really well known college. I got a pretty good scholarship there, and for about a year and a half, I like convinced myself that that was the school I was going to. And then when senior year came around, I was just applying to colleges just to see, and I got accepted to CCA, which is California College of the Arts, which is based in downtown San Francisco and in Oakland, the Bay Area, basically, in California. And I kind of just changed my mind and ended up going there on, I guess you could say, a whim, just because I figured, like, well, I've been in Detroit so long, like, I know how Detroit is. Like, Chicago's not that much different. I feel like I should change my surroundings, change everything. And what's more different than halfway across the country?
I never even thought about it that way. How Detroit and Chicago are very similar. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
That's a that's so weird because I really never thought of it that way.
yeah, it's a big city in the Midwest. We're both in the Midwest. They're both big cities. So I was just
Right.
like, I want to try something new, change my environment completely. So then I just ended up going with CCA, which was a
You said, "Fuck it, dude."
I really did though. Like I do still kind of wonder what would have happened if I did go to SAIC, but like I'm very happy I went to CCA. Like I met very good people there. But yeah, I went to CCA. I flew out at the end of August
Of 2017.
of 2017
Okay.
with my mom.
Oh, your mom went with you?
Yep, she
Oh,
went with me just to. I think she stayed for like 2 days. We went and I did like an orientation, and then I set up my dorm room, and then she left and flew back home, just because I was nervous of just leaving Michigan and going to California alone.
oh
Like
yeah, of course.
I would have to figure out a way to book a hotel and like get places on my own.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Even not going to a different state and the whole other side of America, it's like even just moving out, it's weird to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just worried about it. Like, I had no idea how to do any of that stuff. I was like, so I asked, I was like, can you just come with me at least for one day, just so like that I'm good? And she was happy to do it, which was cool.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, so I got moved in, and then she ended up leaving later that night. I think class started maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks after I moved in. So I had been moved in for a while, and I kind of got introduced to the people who were in my dorm and the people who were actually my roommates. Everybody was pretty cool, but especially my roommate David. He was one of my very best friends there. He's a really good guy. In terms of, I guess, the work that I did there, I did some of my best work that I've done, which is just, that's just how that works. When you come out of high school and you go into an art college, of course, you're going to do your best work in college. But
Mainly when you're like very, very trying with it too, because you want to pass shit.
yeah, so, and I was doing the kind of the best I could with all my classes, constantly pulling all-nighters, like, which in a weird way I kind of do miss that, just like a drive for being able to just work that hard.
And it's the adrenaline that kicks in with it too.
Yeah, and like I just remember just staying up for 2 days, like coming home, doing homework, staying up all night, getting on a 6 a.m. bus, going to a class, going to all my classes that day, coming home, and then working again until like 5 and going to sleep for like 3 hours. Like, that was like,
That is just ridiculous. Like that is seriously ridiculous shit.
yeah, that kind of stuff. It really only happens if you're doing like midterms or you're going through finals. Like for me personally, midterms were a little bit worse than finals because like I was not ready. Like,
Wait, you said midterms were harder?
yeah, midterms were worse to me because I was just like, after you do midterms, you kind of prepare yourself for what finals is going to be like because
Oh,
it's
right, right.
more or less the exact same thing. So for midterms, like I really struggled. Like the reason I had to pull all nighters is because I fucked that up for myself. I just wasn't prepared, I guess, or I wasn't slacking off, but I wasn't like, there would be like maybe a day of the week where I would just relax when you really like, if at all possible, you should be working every day. Even if it's just a little bit, you should be trying to do something every day so you don't fuck yourself by the end of the week and you're behind on projects. But
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like we went to high school with that still like that we keep in contact with, or I do at least, that I see on social media or whatever that just don't do shit. Like completely don't do shit. Oh, and they're in college, obviously. They just don't do anything in like working wise in college. It's crazy to me. I don't know why you're going if you're not doing shit.
yeah, that always baffled me because even when I was at like that college is immensely expensive. Like I told Brendan this, most of the kids, like I don't know, most of them, I almost say like at least 40% of the kids that were there were loaded. Like they were very, very rich. A lot of them were international students that came to from other countries. I think like almost half the school were like or international kids from Asia, East Asia specifically. And
And a lot of art schools too, like they're very fucking expensive.
yeah, most of
So
them are pretty expensive.
so it's like that goes that's a huge hole in your pocket for any college, but let alone an art school. Like that shit's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I'm not even sure exactly why it's so much more expensive, but
I
yeah,
feel like it just gives you a lot more opportunity to do shit, which is why I think it's more.
yeah, I guess it's more freeing or more liberating in the fact that you get to choose your classes and you're going for your major. But when I was there, I was just noticing like it was just a bunch of, I mean, this might sound shitty, but it was a bunch of rich kids who didn't really have to do anything, so they didn't. And it just felt really shitty from like a person who could barely be there, and I'm working my ass off, and I just see these people doing nothing, and it kind of pissed me off because it like I'd be in
Right.
class and we'd have a homework assignment, and I'd stay up fucking till 4, from like 8 to 4 doing it while I still had other shit to do. It's like, I got this done, and I have other classes just like you do. Why the fuck couldn't
Right,
you get
because
this
you're
done?
working your fucking ass off, and they're not doing anything, but yet you're working your ass off, and they can just slide by and not do shit.
Yeah, like we'd have a. I remember specifically, I took a drawing class. I think it was called Real to Imagined. I think my professor's name was Sean. He was a pretty good guy, but there would be one person who would rarely do their homework, or if they did do it, they spent like an hour on it or like 30 minutes on it, and like for a class like that, because you have it once a week, it's a 6 hour class.
Mm-hmm.
So when you leave and he gives you one assignment to do, and you literally have 7 days to do it, and you spent 30 minutes on it, it's just like a slap in the face. Like, you had 7 fucking days. You had a whole week to do this, and you didn't do shit. And I say that about that class because a lot of the classes you'll have twice a week. With that class, you only have it once a week. It's a 6 hour class. Usually, people have a 6 hour class. That's the only thing they're doing with their day. Or, like, that's the only class they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So they have all of the morning before and all of, like, the afternoon to start it or finish it. And then they just don't. Like, I don't get it. Maybe it's just, like, from a place of privilege, just being able to, I guess, afford.
Walk through without
Yeah, walk
having
through
to
life.
worry.
Yeah, without having to worry about financial stuff. Because the whole thing with college is that you're paying to be there. Like, high school, you're forced to be there by the state. Like, it's a free thing. College, you are investing into yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm very worried about for going to college because I want to go, and if I get there and I obviously you can change and whatever, like you can change your major or your minor or whatever, but it's like I don't know if I would like it, but I feel like if I paid for it, I would have to do it. That's just a huge commitment, you know.
Yeah, it kind of forces you to like it almost. It's like, college is not fucking cheap, regardless of where you go. Like, it's just never
Even at a
going to be.
community college, that shit is not cheap.
Yeah. It's too much money to not do anything. And that's just what I never understood about the people
They
that
just
I was
don't
going
give
to
a
school with.
fuck. They're
Yeah.
just hurting themselves more in their pockets more. It's like, what? Why?
I even when I was in art school, I had a lot of people just go, yeah, I didn't want to go to normal college, so I just figured I'd try this because I didn't know what I was doing. It's just like, well, art school's a lot more expensive than normal college. Like,
Dude,
this is not really the place to do that. Like, you can not go to college maybe for 2 years and figure out what you want to do instead of just going to an art college. Like, that is the worst thing you can do, especially like if you don't have money. Maybe if you're rich, then it's like, okay, well then it's just kind of a fun time for you in the meantime. But
That's fucking ridiculous to me. Like going to college in an art college to just fucking have fun. That
yeah,
is a weird and crazy idea. Because that's what I want to do, and that's what you've done. So that's just so weird to me.
yeah, it's not really the place to have fun either. Like, unless you are going and you do nothing like some people did, then you'll have fun because you won't be doing your work. But if you're going to art college and you are trying to actually build a career, you're going to have to try. And trying in art college is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, you
Like,
got so many hurdles and shit.
it's hours and hours of work. And like, it's one thing writing a paper, right? Writing a paper is something that you can kind of, it takes time. But if you're drawing, maybe you're doing a painting, you can't really rush that. Like,
Right.
it's going to take 8 hours to finish. There's no rushing it. If you want to do a good job, even with papers, like, you can rush them and you can do an okay job, but like, you want to do a good job, you kind of do gotta put some effort in. And with art school, it's just harder because you're getting more physical work. You're doing paintings, you're doing drawings, you're filming, you're building. You know, you're creating, you're sculpting, and that's not things you can rush. Like,
Yeah.
they have processes, they have drawing times. Like, you just can't do it there.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot of shit that goes into it.
yeah, but that's like the worst place you can go just to just to chill. Go to a community
Dick off.
college if you want to dick off, because
Right.
at least then you're spending the least amount of money, and it's kind of a better avenue to figure out what you want to do.
Right. What was the reason for leaving? Because obviously Justin's back now. And how long have you been back?
I've been back for, it'll be 2 years in the beginning of next year. It'll be 2 years. So I've
You've
been
been
back
back?
for like a year and a half. Yeah.
That's weird. I thought it was less than that. It
Mm-mm.
seems way less than that. But what happened? Like, was it just the money shit?
Yeah. So when I came home from Christmas, and then I flew back to SF in January, and I hadn't paid last semester yet, so I could not sign up for new classes.
Mhm.
When I went to try to sign up for it, it said like you have to pay everything. You have to pay the complete of the last semester off, otherwise you can't sign up for new classes. And new classes were starting in a week. I wasn't able to do it yet, and then I had to talk to my first year counselor, who you get when you're first year, and they advised me that like the classes have started now, and you you can't realistically start any classes right now. So the only thing you could do is either leave the college or take a leave of absence. So that basically means you just leave and you can come back whenever you want once you paid everything off. So I ended up just taking the leave of absence because I knew I was not going to be able to pay for my first semester in full within that first week. Like it was just too much money.
Oh yeah.
So I came home.
But you took the leave of absence?
Yeah, I took the leave of absence.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I took the leave of absence. So technically, I could go back if I paid it all off. I could go back.
Do you want to go back
No,
to there? Why
I
not?
don't want to go back there. Mainly, even like in the process of me leaving, they just did not care very much. Like they gave me a couple days to like get all my shit and find a plane ticket to Michigan and leave, and I had to be out like within a few days. And it was like all so sudden that I tried to go to housing and I was like, hey, can you give me an extension so that way I can try to figure some things out, try to get a plane ticket, try to pack all my stuff, other than just like the 3 or 4 days that you gave me. And they told me no. They flat out just told me no. They would not work with me. They would not try to help me. And that's
Yeah.
when I was like, okay, you guys really just do not care.
Yeah, they just didn't give a fuck, it seemed like. They just want your money.
Yeah.
And now that you weren't paying, they said, no, fuck off.
Yep. That's the primary reason I'm not going back is because CCA does not really care about their students. They have amazing staff. When I say staff, I mean like educational staff. Like they have really good TAs, really good professors. I loved all my professors. They were really good people, but the administration side of things, it's not good. It just seems like they look at you like a dollar sign instead of like a person.
Right.
And if you're not providing money, then they kind of just push you aside. Or even if you are, which a lot of people had problems with as well, like they just do not care about you as a person. Like,
And that's so fucked up because most of the time these are people who are or even kids, if you want to call them, teenagers to young adults who are actually trying to better the fucking world in the long run. And it's like, no, we ain't making any money off of you, just leave.
yeah. I ended up leaving. Luckily, we found a plane ticket and I could get home within a few days. Spent my last few days there with my friends, just hanging out. Flew home, and then months later, I ended up talking to my friend David, who was my roommate, and he actually had to leave the college as well because he had gotten into an altercation with a Chinese kid that we had met our first day. Well, I guess this kind of goes back. So on orientation day, I was hanging out with David because he was one of my roommates and he was the nicest to me, and we just got along really well. And then we met this other guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but we met this Chinese guy, and we hung out with him too because he seemed cool. And we hung out together for like the first 2 days of orientation. So we got semi close. Me and David were really close, and he was there too. So as the semester went on, it seemed like him and David had kind of gotten, I guess, angry. Like there was a problem there.
Wait, you guys were like kind of basic friends with him?
Yeah,
I
basic
didn't even.
friends.
I've heard this story twice now, and I did not know that you guys were like, acquaintances of that type. I just thought it was some random fucking dude.
No.
Oh, that's weird.
Because he lived in the dorm with us, so he lived upstairs. And so the first day orientation, we all took BART to the SF campus for CCA, and so we hung out and we ate together, just because we were all in the same dorm and it was
Right.
just easier.
It's just
Uh,
more convenient, yeah.
yeah, it was convenient, and he seemed like a cool guy. But as time went on, I guess he had got a girlfriend, and his girlfriend was Korean, and David was Korean. So sometimes David and his girlfriend would talk. Rarely. It was not like David was trying to steal her or anything type of way. It was more of David was in a different country, and then this was another Korean person he could talk to
And relate to.
and relate to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they were friends or would talk often.
And they weren't even like, and when they did talk, they weren't flirting, right? It was
Yeah.
just a regular fucking conversation.
Yeah, it was like how if you're in a class with somebody and they're sitting next to you, you try to make conversation.
Right.
It was like that type of deal. And I guess he got really angry, and then he kind of said something to David, and like he started giving him the cold shoulder, and he kind of made it known that he no longer liked David. And it was just like a really weird thing, or he was like a controlling person over his girlfriend. I don't like those type of people.
That's a whole different subject to get into with that, because that's, oof.
Yeah, but that all happened when I was still there. So I left, and then I think the spring semester is the one I didn't attend. I attended all of fall, didn't attend spring. David still attended most of spring. Halfway through, or maybe like 3/4 of the way through, him and this guy got into an altercation in class. They got paired together as for like a project, like a group project. It was David and him, and the guy was still giving him the cold shoulder, and David was like, "Hey, what's going on? Is it still about the girlfriend thing? Like, I don't know what's happening." And then I guess that made the guy really angry, and he went to like, I don't know if he pushed David or what happened, but he did something like he touched David. I don't know. I can't remember if he said he pushed him or kicked him, but then David pushed him or kicked him back, and then I don't think anything happened after that. Like they didn't keep fighting. It
and
got broke
you
off.
forgot to mention too, David is not like that at all.
I should say this first and foremost. David is the nicest person I've ever met in my life. I've never seen him get very angry. I've never seen him yell or scream. He's just been like truly like the best person I know. Like I love him to pieces. Like I wish nothing
I've never
was the
even
best from him.
I've never even met him, and the way that Justin talks about him, I fucking love him. Like
Yeah, David is like really, really a nice guy.
he's just genuine and like wholesome. It seems at heart. Like he really doesn't want problems at all with anything.
Yeah,
And that's a great thing to have in a person.
yeah, he's not like that at all. So like when he was telling me about this, I already knew the guy was on some other shit. So I guess security ended up just breaking it up, and like the classmates ended up breaking it up, and they had to talk to like the student board about it, about the incident and everything. Basically, it was just advised like they shouldn't be partners anymore. Basically, I guess David had received an email of the school board telling him like you guys have to not interact and you can't talk to each other, just stay away from each other. And if you do, if either you try to, you'll get in trouble with the school board or whatever. And David didn't read the email. I know this for a fact. When you're in college, you constantly get emails. All your professors, anytime they cancel a class or anytime you're adding extra work, or they'll be like, "Hey, read this," like you're constantly getting them, and it just goes to your CCA email account. So he got the email. He didn't read it yet, and he was heading. He was like already in SF. He went to try to apologize and try to like fix the problem, even though I don't necessarily think he needed to apologize. But he wanted to try to fix the problem because that's just how nice David is. He wanted to just like solve their issue and squash it so that way it wouldn't be a thing affecting them. And I guess when the security, or no, what happened was he walked up to him, and then the other guy like let the security know that like David contacted him or whatever. So then he got escorted off campus. He had to talk to the school board again, and they said that they ended up deciding that it would be best for him to, their words, it would be best to for him to leave for the semester, and that he had to see like a anger management counselor, and then that after all of that he could come back next semester.
See, I've heard this twice, or this is the third time I'm hearing it now, and it still fucking pisses me off. Like, legitimately fucking pisses me off. He, David literally went to apologize to an asshole that he didn't even have to apologize to, and now they're telling David that he needs the fucking anger management. It still makes me so angry. There, like, I just cannot put that to words. That is ridiculous. David, nicest guy ever, wants to go to apologize to the fucking asshole over here, and now David needs the anger management, and now he doesn't get an education because of it. That's so fucked. It is so fucked up, it's unreal.
Yeah. David and my other friends that I made there, they tried to really come together and try to get him to stay, but nothing they did really worked. They still ended up just telling him the same thing, even after the second hearing they had. They're just like, "Yeah, you have to leave. Do the anger management. You can come back." So he ended up calling me and telling me everything that happened. He told me like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm coming back here. Like they just like I'm so sad right now. I have to leave. I'm not done with the semester." And this was the thing about David. So the first semester we had, he's an architect major. He did like the best in his class. Like he was like his model for like his final project was like it was just amazing. Like everybody loved it. Like he was such a hard worker, and he was such a nice guy, and he was such a good architecture major student. And so he was doing so well, and to have to just leave, like the school just made him leave. It was just it crushed him. He's like so sad. Like I was really liking it here, and now I'm not coming back here. Like they did me so wrong. Like I can't come back to this school. And I was like, yeah, I completely understand. And he's just like, I now I know how you feel when you had to leave, like during the semester.
And also for David, he had to go all the way back home, which was
South Korea. He had to fly
Yeah.
home to South Korea from California. When I left, I just had to go back to Michigan, just
Yeah.
a ways away, but it's not South Korea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. That's ridiculous. That is so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like an 18-hour flight. Like it's just shitty all around. I don't know. Luckily by that point he wasn't living in housing. He had actually got an apartment with my friends in SF, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. But or for like leaving, he didn't have to go through the school to do that. But it was just really shitty. Like it's inconvenient. Like you spend all this money to be there, and then to just be told like you have to leave now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it crushed him. Like he knows like how it feels to just have to
Rightfully
leave.
so too. Like that would crush anybody, and then now even higher for him, like I said, because he's one of the nicest fucking guys, and now he has to go back to South Korea. Like that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, so he went back home, and last time I talked to him, he's like, I'll probably be looking at schools in New York and stuff, but I know I'm not going back to CCA.
Oh
And
yeah.
like after that, that was like my final straw, just because I knew that's when I kind of like figured like, yeah, I can't imagine myself going back to someplace like that.
Like you knew they didn't care when they did that to you, but now you know they really don't fucking care
Yeah,
about any of their students. Like that's a huge, huge fucking thing.
yeah. It really hurt me. Like I just couldn't imagine going back to that school.
Right.
That was, like I said, like kind of the final straw would led me not to go back to CCA, and why I'm never going back to CCA. I really like the area. Like I really like SF. Like it's a really great place to live for like a 20-something-year-old college student. Like if you can afford it, I would say it's an amazing place to live. There are other colleges there.
What are you planning on doing now then? Like for college?
For college, I'm planning on going with my original idea to SAIC, which is the School of Art Institute of Chicago, which is downtown Chicago. It's a really, really like great school, pretty prestigious, well known. It's a nice art school. Uh, I'm pretty sure I'll be accepted again because I was accepted the first time, so I'm not really worried about that per se.
That's good.
It's pretty close to home. It's like a 4 hour drive from Michigan, 4 to 5 hour drive. So it's not that far away in case like I did need to come back or if people wanted to visit, like mom, I know she probably would want to visit. So that's kind of like the next step, I guess, that I'm taking are applying to those places again. I applied for fall, but like I don't think I'm gonna go for fall just because I don't think I'm gonna have the money to go for fall. So I'm aiming for spring right now. That's kind of like the plan I'm doing now. I don't have a job right now. Like I'm looking for a job right now. I did have a job. I worked at a really popular home improvement retailer before. I didn't. I worked there for about a year. That was right after college. Right after I came home from college. It was okay. Didn't like management. I ended up leaving that place. I won't get too specific into it, but I'm really happy I don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
Wasn't really the best place to work, but they were really good. Like like my head cashiers and stuff were really cool because I was the cashier there. But other than that, I wouldn't really recommend it that much. But yeah, I'm kind of just looking around for a job right now until spring happens. You want to talk about yourself now, Brandon?
Sure. I'd love to. I don't even know where to start with this. Do you think I should start from the job?
Yeah, like how high school was, what you were doing with the job. Like I
Okay.
wonder where you started.
Okay, so when I think it was 16, I think I was 16 or so, 15 or 16, I started working at a place that I won't say the name of it, but the people who will listen to this will probably know what it is anyways. I started working there with a group of friends and we would be the afternoon shift, so we would go in from right after school, so 3 o'clock until 10 at night. And from there, it was just like a regular warehouse, so we would, go through and do regular shipping and receiving procedure shit where, you just deal with shit. While we were there for, well, while I was there for almost I wanna say 2 years, or yeah, almost 2 years I was there for. I met a girl there who became like, she was my girlfriend, but it was like on and off. It was a weird situation. I would never say anything bad about her. She's a wonderful girl, and everything that happened between us was in the past, of course. So nothing bad her way whatsoever. I wish her the best with everything that she does. She's a wonderful girl, but a lot of shit went down in this place with friends and this girl and different coworkers and management. And what it came down to was when I would say, I don't know how long, maybe 6 months to 8 months, like right, or 6 months to 9 months, like right before a year was, I was promoted to the lead of the afternoon shift. And from there, I had different duties to do and bigger duties to do. Uh, so I was technically in charge of the other guys who were my friends, and it just stemmed a lot of problems. A lot of stuff happened where it wasn't actually happening, where I was supposedly what they thought were or was that I was throwing them under the bus and saying different things about how they were working and stuff like that. And I never did that. I really never did, like, whatsoever. But then from there, obviously, it's just competition because I would say, like, you're constantly in competition a little bit just for, being in high school in general because you're always trying to one up one another. And then mainly when you're in a job that was very, very unprofessional. It was a very unprofessional place. So it was just like, I don't know. It wasn't suited for the age that we were at, and I still don't think it's suitable for most people who are there because none of them are that professional. Or when I left, at least, I don't know how it is anymore. I don't talk to the people who are in there anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like a weird thing, especially when you're working over your friends.
I don't know. Like I said, it stemmed a lot of problems, and then a lot of stuff happened outside of work with the girl I was with. And she was technically my boss, so it was a weird dynamic, very weird fucking dynamic.
Yeah, it's like you're your boss of your friends, and then the person you're dating is your boss. Like
Right.
that just sounds like a terrible thing because you know something's gonna go down with that.
I mean, in retrospect, it wasn't as bad as, like, even to this day how I talk about it, but it still wasn't the ideal situation. Because usually, I mean, you could deal with that. Like, a lot of people do that day to day, where it's like my significant other is my boss, and then I just work with my friends. Like, I've known a few people who've done that, like, outside of the people I was with.
Yeah, I can just see that going really left if you stop being friends with those people or you break up, then it becomes a really awkward work environment.
Right. And that's great, because that's exactly what the fuck happened to me. Uh, so me and the girl were fighting a lot, like outside of work, and so that, of course, caused a lot of problems within the workplace. And then because of all the stuff that was happening with the other guys, where we were arguing and they thought I was throwing them under the bus and things like that, um, we didn't, we really didn't get along, like, at all anymore. And I wouldn't even have considered them my friends, and I know vice versa, they wouldn't have considered me their friend. And then, so we weren't friends. And then me and the girlfriend broke up. So at the time, I felt like I had absolutely fucking nobody. I wasn't close with anybody besides the people I was working with and this girl. And then I lost them. And then at the time, too, my parents and I were arguing about, whatever. So it was like a really fucked up time. And this was, I was either 17. Oh yeah, I was 17. So it had been 2 years that this whole thing was like boiling up.
Yeah, and all that stuff kind of went down senior year, right?
Right. It was January through May of senior year, which was 2017.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I was 17 years old in a workplace that wasn't suited for anybody. I would say younger than 20, in my opinion. Uh, and I was also with a bunch of people who I was so comfortable with that I thought would never change. And obviously, everybody changes either for the better or for the worse. And, I was really, like, fucked up because of it, because it really fucked me up, obviously. But then I quit, mm, and I just left all of those people behind. Like, I left this place, I left the girl, I left my friends, and I got new friends. And it's so weird to talk about now because even from what I did after that was my first job too, so it was like such a weird dynamic to go into that and then have to, like, deal with different places being actually professional. But after that, I left all of that behind and I completely, like, I don't know, because then I was like a very, very, like, I don't give a fuck what you have to say to me. I don't give a fuck what you say in general about anything. And I was just worried about myself, which, as like a, high schooler 16 to 18, I guess that makes sense. But so, okay, let me explain this. So when I left that place, I got brand new friends that I knew from high school. And then, like, I just started completely partying with them. And up until this point, I wasn't really like a big drinker or smoker or anything, but I just fucking partied with them. Like, I wanted to, I felt like the place I was at took away my childhood in a sense, or my high school, what's the word? High school experience.
Experience.
Yeah, experience. The place I was at took that away, so I wanted to live out, like, the shit you see in the movies where it's like, going to parties and drinking and smoking and having fun with your fucking friends, because I never had that because I was always at fucking work. Like one spring break, I literally worked for 60 fucking hours. I didn't do shit but work for a whole spring break. So I met these guys. They're a great group of people. They're so nice. They're all so nice. Like, I still keep in contact with them right now. Like, it's only been like 2 years since I stopped really partying with them, but like they're such good guys. So when I did this, I started partying. We were drinking. We were smoking. Like, every fucking weekend, we were going to parties, and it was fucking fun, dude. Like, I would honestly like I would honestly recommend it to a high schooler who's going through some shit. Like that, it doesn't sound too good to say that, but I think it's a good experience to have when shit in your life has been going sour. Like, so you don't want to, this is a whole different topic, but I'll just touch on it really quick. You don't want to go too extreme with drugs and alcohol because obviously they can fuck your life up. But if you're still 18 to 20 and you have a lot of leeway to do what you can and everything, I would go for it. Like, it's a good experience to have if you've never done it before. I think it's a great thing to do. But yeah, so I partied with them and it was a great time, and it was very nice to have a different experience than what I was used to. And then I just wanted to chill a little bit, so I stopped doing it as much. Like, I'll still drink and I'll still drink and I'll still smoke from time to time, but not as often as I was doing it, because that was extreme. Like, that was a fuck ton. From there, I got another job at a place that it's not a good place. They treated me very badly, and they don't know how to go about treating their employees at all. Like, at all. I would not recommend working here. I don't. I won't say their name, but they're just not a good place. It was a warehouse, and the warehouse is very dirty. The people are very, very unprofessional. Like, I feel like that's a trend for me, where uh, places aren't that professional, but it's what I get into, I guess. I've had like odd jobs here and there after that, but I haven't had anything notable before or after. I mean, so I don't know. Um, the whole thing with me that I think, and Justin's brought this up to me before, it's like I'll leave a place after like a week or a month or whatever, and it's a weird situation to describe, but I just feel as if I'm bigger than a 9 to 5. And that sounds very cocky and very like I'm better than people who do that, but that's not the case whatsoever. I don't I don't mean to be like that, but it's just the fact that like I feel like I'm destined for bigger things, because a 9 to 5 obviously gets anybody on their feet. You do what you want, and if you love having a 9 to 5 job, that's great. You can keep it, but I just feel like I don't want one like that. I don't want a set schedule where it's like, here, do this, here, do that. I want to go into media and I want to go into film and things like that, where it's like we're on a set and we're doing different things, and there's always action and there's always like talkative stuff. And like a warehouse is just like, here's your set thing to do for the day, and that's it. And obviously, in a movie set or whatever, it still has a set thing to do for the day, but it's not as like,
Hands on.
right, yeah, hands on. I don't know. A 9 to 5 just doesn't interest me. Like, it really does not interest me. It doesn't. It's not a thing where I look at like on Indeed or whatever, and I'm saying to myself, oh, this is awesome. I would love to work this 9 to 5 job at a warehouse or whatever. But obviously, you need that kind of stuff to get you on your feet for what I want to do.
Yeah, a lot of people use the jobs as like a stepping stone, not as like a forever place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I want to do. But I don't know. It's so hard to go through my mind and tell you like why I think the way with a 9 to 5. How I said like, oh, I think I'm better. Like I don't think that way. It's just the fact that I don't like 9 to 5s. I really don't. They just it turns me off in every situation, no matter what the type of job is, unless it's something that's in my field. Because you could work in film, obviously, and it would just be a regular 9 to 5, But I just mean a regular like office space, like cubicle type, movie shit.
Hmm.
But if it's something sporadic or just you look at it and you're just like, oh, that's fucking awesome. That's something I would love to just sit down and do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that, I guess, idea where most people feel like they're better than a 9 to 5 in the sense that they think maybe I'm working at McDonald's right now, but obviously this isn't where I'm always going to be. Like everybody has dreams that they want to get to, but like I said earlier, they need those as a stepping stone. They need money right now for maybe just basic living expenses, and they don't plan on being there forever.
Yeah, that makes sense, but I keep saying I don't know, but I really don't know because there's nothing that I've had in the past 2 years that has really been like I want to stay here in order to do better for myself and help myself out. I've stayed at places for, over a few months and whatever, but I've never been like, oh, I want to be here for the next, well, like while I'm going to college. I've never had a job that's like secure enough and that I feel good enough at in order to go to college while I'm also here at the 9 to 5. I've never had that, and it sucks because, like you said, it's a stepping stone, and I would need it, but I've never had the shit in my mind where it's like, here it is, you got it, you're good, like, dude, stay here and be fucking awesome here.
Yeah, and you honestly, you might not never have that because I think in your mind you're fixated on like your ultimate like career goal, which is like working in film. So maybe you won't feel that until you start actually working into film or working in film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a big problem that I guess just needs a deeper think into where I need to fix myself and help myself with that
Yeah,
because obviously I can't not have a job forever.
yeah, it's pretty bad, honestly. Like I understand where you're coming from completely. I do, but like it's temporary. You know what I mean? Like even temporarily, I know you're not happy with the situation or you really don't like working there. Like in my past jobs, I didn't like working there, but I knew I kind of had to just to keep like the basic needs for myself, keep money in my pocket, so I wouldn't be walking around with nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's also the thing for me that I've always said. Like, I do not, for the life of me, like, you could tell me any job whatsoever. I do not think that work or money outweighs the work you have to do. So if you're doing absolute shit work, but you're getting fucking amazing money, I do not think that's worth it. I think you're just digging yourself a hole for failure in the long run, because now you're used to doing this shit work and you're putting yourself below money, which should not. I don't think money should be the like circle around what the fuck you do.
Yeah, I agree. That's part of why I'm going to do what I do. Like I'm not going to make a ton of money working in art, but it's what I like to do.
Yeah. And so even with the film, is obviously I want to go into film as we've both stated. With doing that, I still want to help people too. Like this is a big platform in order to do something like that, where anybody could just ask me a question or ask me for advice or come to me for me to help them out. That's what I want to do. I want to completely help people and make sure that they're okay. Because I know how it feels to be so down. I know how it feels to just like you're completely out of the loop for your friends, your family, anybody that you know that is just putting you out and not making you feel like yourself, or maybe you're not even feeling like yourself by whatever. So I just want to help people out and be able to be here for people. And that's, like I said, it's a huge thing for this podcast because if I'm able to do that for anybody, you can message me, you can text me, anything. Because I'm really here because I love helping people. And if you need it, I can help. Like that's the main takeaway from what I'm saying with this. And that's also it ties in with the 9 to 5 thing because if I'm able to have a job where I'm able to help somebody out, like in any sort of capacity where I'm just, talking in front of a fucking high school or whatever about a real situation, I would love to do that. It just feels good to help somebody, and not even in the fact that I want to feel good about it. It's I want them to feel good about themselves, and I feel like that's a huge thing to do for somebody. Just it's like corny to say, but just literally going up to somebody and being like, "Oh, your shirt looks nice. You look good today," or something like that. It just puts like a whole better, attitude on everything. And I feel like if you're able to even extend that, which is what I want to do, to make it so somebody in general feels good about their whole self, not just for the day, but you keep feeling good. I feel like that's such a good thing to do for somebody. And it stretches even farther than this podcast. Like I want this podcast to be an opening for something for any of us. Any guest who we have on here, Justin or myself, I want it to be an opening in order for us to go into bigger things and better things, like how Justin wants to go into graphic design. If somebody's able to see this podcast and, a miracle, if it blows up to that extent, and there's somebody with who will listen to it who needs a graphic designer, and they're like, holy shit, and they look up Justin and they look up his art, and they're like, holy shit, he's actually very good. That's your opening. Like they've seen you from this podcast, so you're able to go further with it, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Somebody looks me up, sees my videos that I've created and edited myself, and then see the way that I talk and everything. I want it to be an opening in order to go farther, because yes, we are just sitting here and we're having fun, and we're not doing this to blow up, and we're not doing this to make it so it becomes like a huge regular podcast. Where we are doing that, but it's the fact that if it does go further, this is the perfect opportunity to do so.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think that just about wraps it up for the whole thing, really.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I want to actually say, with the difference between myself from high school and now, in high school, I was a very, like, angry, in your face, I don't give a fuck type of guy. And now I'm more chill, I'm more relaxed, I'm more open minded to things, and I want to say right now, like full on, if you did know me in high school, I apologize. Like I apologize that you knew me in high school because I'm a completely different person from then. And you also, if you knew me in high school and you still have that image of me that I was in high school, maybe you should talk to me, shoot me a text. We could, go get food or whatever, and then you could actually get to know me. It's it's not more so that I want you to like me. It's the fact that I feel bad for the way I was to people, no matter if like you were a random person or even my friend. I feel like I was an asshole to everybody, and I feel so bad about it to this day. So I don't know if like you feel any type of way towards me, you can talk to me and we can clear it up. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm a completely different person, and I've grown from high school after the whole experience at my first job with the girl and the friends and everything, where I lost everything. I just feel like from that experience, it really changed the way I felt about life and the way I looked at life. So,
Yeah, I'd agree. You did change, like, way, like, definitely for the better since high school, because I wouldn't even know if we were friends in high school. We hung out in the same group, but we didn't really hang out. You know what I
yeah, we
mean?
were like close acquaintances.
Yeah, but pretty much. You've grown a lot as a person.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really do appreciate it because like I said, I just hate it. Like looking back on it, I don't regret anything because I feel like living life with regrets is bad to do. But I do feel bad for what I've done because I did a lot of stuff and said a lot of stuff that was terrible. And like we'll get more into that on different topics and stuff. But I just feel like I've changed for the better, and I do feel better about myself, and I'm glad that I have I'm glad I have the people who are around me now, because the people who I was around then, they were like a reason to why I was so angry and what have you. But of course, I was the ultimate benefactor, where I just made myself even worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I'm you can we can hash anything out and talk about it. You can talk to me about anything. Like, I'm always here to help, and I'm just glad that we're able to get this podcast up and running, and I literally cannot wait. I'm so excited to do even more episodes and actually talk about the topics we want to go for.
Yeah. I feel like I kind of changed in the opposite way than you did in high school, in the way that I didn't I didn't really have like that strong of a backbone, and I didn't really stick up for myself that much because I was so, I guess, obsessed with making sure everybody around me was good,
Yeah.
that I never really made sure like I was good. And now I'm always making sure that, I mean, maybe this is selfish, but like I'm good before anything, making sure I'm putting myself in a comfortable situation before I worry about somebody else. And maybe that's selfish, but it's something I need to do to grow as a person.
No, but I wouldn't call that selfish, because you're just being more mindful for your own health. You
Yeah,
know, that's the main takeaway from that, because you just gotta watch out for yourself before you watch out for anybody. But I did that for so long that I just don't want to do that anymore. I would rather have somebody else before I have myself at this point, because I just did it for so long in such a negative way
yeah,
that it really fucked with me. So with yours, it's not selfish. It's just more so you, like you said, you growing and you learning more about yourself, which is amazing.
hmm.
Alrighty, well, I am Brandon Zoyce,
And I'm Justin Coleman.
and thank you so much for listening to Mildly Uncomfortable. I cannot wait to come back with bigger and better topics and issues that we have planned. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. It's at MildlyUPod, which is MILDLY, the letter U, POD. We'll be posting all the links and all the updates for every single podcast on there. So make sure you follow that. And thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.